Hey everyone, welcome to Thursday's edition of One Single Story. We're looking at Psalm 100 today. I'm with Sheryl, Daughety, and Justin Smith this week, and we're continuing this conversation about praise. This is short enough I can read the entire thing. It doesn't tell us who it's attributed to. It calls it a psalm of thanksgiving. It says, "Shout to the Lord, all the earth, worship the Lord with gladness, come before him, singing with joy. Acknowledging that the Lord is God. He made us and we are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, go into his courts with praise, give thanks to him and praise his name. For the Lord is good, his unfailing love continues forever, and his faithfulness continues to each generation." So the verse 2 there says to come before him singing with joy. And there are numerous songs that I would have sang over the years that would have included the phrases from these 5 verses. One of the very first praise courses that I ever remember singing in church was, "I will enter his gates. I will enter his gates with thanksgiving in my heart." God, how old is that? Ages. Did you ever sing that, Cheryl?
Remember if that was in like the hymn book that we grew up singing out of.
So it made its way into some hymn books as they were making transitions, but it would have been so in the world I grew up in, they did not go directly from hymns to modern worship songs. They went from hymns, and then choruses, that's what we call them, got added to it, where you would sing them over and over again. And I think that's where the 7-11, terminology came in, where people started saying, it's the same 7 words you sing 11 times. And then we got to more modern worship music. But I can think of numerous songs that include this wording here. And so what I want to talk about today is what is the correlation between music and praise. We, in some churches, they will call it a praise team. The singers, they'll call it a worship team. Some people call that segment of the service praise and worship. So what is the correlation? Why are the two so intertwined?
I think music in general is designed or leads its way to be way more expressive than at times than what we can just talk or what we can express through conversation. Something about music just allows us to be a lot more expressive, to be able to show those emotions. So naturally, for me, I find myself praising God through music more than any avenue in my life, just because of what he's instilled in me and for my passion and love of music. It's what naturally draws me closer to him.
Yeah, and I think it's, you talk about it being expressive. I think it's also more, especially like on a Sunday morning, if you're standing, sometimes you may have your arms raised or your eyes closed. And I think there's like a physical act that's taking place at the same time. Not to say that can't happen in other ways that you praise God, but I just think it's more of almost like an all-consuming act that you're able to do. And I also think the fact that we have the ability to sing, and that it seems so second nature to want to use that to praise him, is a gift from God that we are supposed to be giving back to him.
Yeah, I will encourage people, because sometimes people say, "I can't sing," I encourage people just to read the words out loud while the music's going on if you don't think you can sing. And there truly are people, they miss that line that you were just talking about, the gift line to sing. They ain't got it. But saying the words is a powerful thing. The Hebrews, I think it is, talks about the fruit of our lips is the sacrifice of praise. And opening our mouth and singing and worshiping is a critical piece to. Now, I'm curious, do you believe people should only listen to Christian music?
I would say it depends on what other music you're listening to, and if it's a distraction. I don't know what I'm trying to say. There have been times in my life where what is considered secular music and is not necessarily put out by a Christian artist has influenced my faith and my walk with Christ.
Positively or negatively?
Positively.
Okay.
And I believe there's even times, whether it's intentional or not by the artist or composer, that I can get a message out of the lyrics that they're given. They may mean it for more of a personal one-on-one relationship between a man and a woman, but I can easily interpret it as my relationship with God.
We've actually discussed this before. It's been a while back though. That I don't think that I feel like you should only listen to Christian music, but for myself, especially when my kids were growing up and they were in the car with me all the time, that's all that I would keep on. And it's really all that I keep on now, even when it's just me, but it's for the same reasons that, like, I'll put a book down or I'll turn a TV show off. It's not because I'm so holy, that's for sure. But it is because I think I've just gotten old enough and have enough experience to see or recognize when something's like, well, this is not going to be good for me, know? And
how
I mean, the truth is I need to do that in other parts of my life too. But I think that when you recognize that, you just need to put it down. I don't know. I think in the same way that you need to constantly remind yourself of reasons to praise God, that worship music makes me feel that way. I feel like that's where it's drawing my mind, as opposed to, you listen to the country music or whatever and you think about like bad past relationships or a dying dog or whatever they're talking about. I don't think there's anything wrong with the music, but I do think that we often don't realize the influence that it's having on us.
What your time is absorbing.
Well, music, entertainment in general is extremely influential. And most of it is passive influence that we don't even realize is happening. The TV shows that we watch, we may be initially repulsed by X happening, but then we become numb to it and don't think anything about it. Music is the same way. I know some people, prominent people, and I don't think I need to put their name on the podcast and speak for them. They can do it themselves, but they're prominent in the worship segment of the world, and they advocate, like, if you genuinely believe that music is that powerful, this is the only kind of music you should listen to.
What, praise and worship?
Yeah, just Christian music in general. That's the case they would make. Now, obviously, I think they would advocate for worship, praise and worship, but Christian music in general, because stylistically, everybody's different. Some people prefer choral music, quartet music, Southern gospel music, bluegrass music. What are the lyrics saying to you, and how are they affecting your own mental health, your spiritual health, your relationships? I am not that legalistic. I don't listen to an abundance of music. I used to when I was younger, but I don't now. When I was growing up, I got my first record player. The deal was I could have it, but I couldn't listen to anything but gospel music. And I remember the debate that we had. I went to see the Harlem Globetrotters, and I used some of my money and bought a 45. You know what I'm talking about, the small record. of the of Sweet Georgia Brown, and it was nothing but music, and like it was that was a real conversation in the house. Like, was I going to be able to keep that 45 or not? I recall being able to keep it, but it was just a real tension. I would say a couple of things. One, I love singers. Okay, so like if you're a great singer, I want to hear you sing, but I don't really care whether I may not care about you or the music that you sing. So like, I think Chris Stapleton may be one of the greatest singers on the planet right now. He's a country singer. He may be one of the greatest singers on the planet right now. He sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl this past year, and the only thing that made it better is on TikTok somebody overlaid a B3 organ on it, and that just kind of put it over the top for me. But he's just a singer. Like, it's just him and a guitar, flat-footed singing. Like, I like that. But the messages of his songs, for the most part, are not things that are going to inspire my walk with Christ. You know, there's nothing about Tennessee whiskey. You know, there are some, you know, he's got one called Broken Halos. You know, it calls you to think about other spiritual things, but for the most part, he's not. And the same is true of other artists. And I don't think we have to be legalistic about it, but I don't think we can be unaware of it. The impact that worship music has on, or Christian music, that's what I should say, has on our spiritual walk, and how non-Christian music can affect us spiritually as well. Do you either have a music preference outside of worship music?
I've always listened to everything. Probably the one style is that I have a hard time tolerating is rap music, just personally. But I've always enjoyed from classical to country, hip hop, R&B, pop. I've always listened to all of it. I will say, you mentioned the older you get, you didn't listen to music as much. There's probably not a time, especially if I'm driving down the road, my radio is not going to be off. It's always on. And I know there's several people that like to listen to talk radio or podcasts and all, but I'm always listening to music. And it's typically on a Christian station. But there are times I got XM radio, so I'll switch it to the 90s because I was a kid growing up in the 90s or even the 80s. Just, I enjoy all of it, if I'm being honest.
Even though I did most of my growing up in the 80s, I, even as like a teenager, listened to tons of classic rock, like the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, Eric Clapton, you know, that whole lineup. And I also really like, not all, but a lot of bluegrass, because my granddaddy played a lot of instruments and he sang a lot of bluegrass, and I was pretty involved in that. So,
you said Fleetwood Mac. There is a it's supposed to be a novel based on Fleetwood Mac. I think it's called Daisy Jones and the Six.
That's probably a crazy story.
Yeah, and it's on Netflix or something.
Okay.
Too. Daisy Jones and the Six.
I think I've seen it advertised.
I just don't like rap music. I've never heard a rap song that I said, God, I want to hear that again, ever.
Now, when I was young and foolish, you know, when you're in middle school and high school and you're just trying to be the cool kid and do whatever your friends are doing, I owned a few CDs that I...
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say it's bad. It's just not, it ain't my thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned... definitely, I can't tolerate it now.
Yeah, you mentioned bluegrass music. So, in general, I cannot tolerate bad bluegrass music.
Untuned banjos.
No, so bluegrass is like this. So it's you know, there are typically in the African American church, they're not afraid to sing but they're either really good or really bad. There's not like, they ain't all that great. It's kind of polar ends. I see bluegrass music a lot that way. Like it's either really, really good or it's really, really bad. I mean, it's just really bad. Because I like one of the best renditions of the national anthem I've ever heard in my life were by the Isaacs. They opened for Reba McEntire a few weeks back. And I love to listen to them sing. Their harmonies are incredible, but if it's bad, it's bad. Like I can tolerate a mediocre quartet. I can't tolerate mediocre bluegrass music. It's weird, it's because it's either got to be really good or I can't listen to it. For the most part, I love bluegrass instrumentation. Like I think a dobro is a beautiful instrument when it's played right. But I love choral music, some of it, just the mass of voices, hearing people sing, it's a beautiful thing. And praise and worship has grown on me. Everybody thinks because we have a more modern church, a more contemporary church, and I am the reason because I was the worship leader when we made that progression into more modern worship, that's my thing. It usually is not at the top of my list.
But praise and worship has evolved dramatically too.
Yes,
from where it started.
Yes, and the lyrics. We're recently doing a song called "Homecoming," which is one of the best lyrical songs I've heard in years. Like just the rhythm and the lyrics to it are incredible. So, all right, we need to stop talking about music. Thank you all for joining us again today on One Single Story. We hope you will be back with us tomorrow as we finish up the conversation in the Book of Psalms.